Hello, I'm Jill Urbach, and today I'm going to talk about the Hallmark Christmas movie, Christmas with the Darlings. On this channel, during the Christmas season, I review Hallmark Christmas movies. So if you're a fan of Hallmark Christmas movies, or you just want to find out a little more about them before admitting you're a fan, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit that little notification bell, and you'll get alerted the next time I post a video. My plan is to post a video for every movie in Hallmark Channel's Countdown to Christmas. I'll be talking about 7 elements of Christmas with the Darlings. We'll talk about the meet cute. We'll go through my Hallmark Christmas movie checklist. I'll talk about my favorite secondary characters, the wardrobe in the movie, any nitpicks I have, anything I feel is noteworthy, and where it falls on my personal Heartstring meter. Let's get started. Here's a brief synopsis of Christmas with the Darlings. When an executive assistant gives her final notice to her CEO boss in order to use her newly acquired law degree as a corporate lawyer within his company, she is drawn into helping the charming younger brother of her wealthy boss as he looks after his orphaned nieces and nephew through Christmas. The nieces and nephew have been orphaned for, I think it's 3 years. But they've been living in Australia with another relative, but that relative is no longer able to care for them, so they're brought to the States under the guardianship of their 2 remaining uncles. The plan is to spend Christmas at the CEO uncle's house before getting shipped off to boarding school. Our 2 lead actors are Katrina Law and Carlo Marks. Jessica is the assistant to the CEO of this family-run company, and she's recently passed her bar, and so she's going to be moving within the company to be a corporate lawyer, even though what she really wants to do is practice family law. Jessica is an organized list maker who also happens to be passionate about Christmas, and because she was raised by her mom and then was left alone and had no family after her mother died when she was a junior in high school, she has a heart for these kids who are left alone at Christmas. So she's actually the first one to step up and say, I'll watch the kids over Christmas till you get home from your business trip. Carlo Marks plays Max. Now, Max is the younger brother, so there were 3 brothers in this family, and there seems to be a significant age difference between Max and his older brother, Charles, who is the CEO. Max is actually the president of the company, but he's never around. He has sort of embraced that younger brother fun slacker guy role, and so he's not really expected to be involved. In fact, our opening scene shows him snowboarding with some friends, and their plan is to leave that ski resort and go to Whistler and continue skiing over Christmas. But when he's summoned, he does come home to connect with the 3 kids. Now, our meet cute is where we see our leads interacting for the same time on screen. And Jessica and Max have known each other for like 2.5 years, ever since she came to work for the company. Even though he's not really around, they know each other. She knows him more through reputation, and of course, if she's gotten most of her information through Charles, the older brother, he looks down on his younger brother. So you can see that she doesn't have a whole lot of respect for Max, even though she's perfectly pleasant and he's charming and fun, but that's kind of it. Max, you get an inkling in that first scene that he likes Jessica, and probably has for quite some time, but just realized that she was out of his league and wrote it off a long time ago, as that was not going to happen. But there's definitely some sparks on his end. And then, of course, as soon as he finds out that Jessica is willing to watch the kids, he steps in and says, okay, I'll stay and watch the kids, which shocks the heck out of her because it's not what she expected. And then he proceeds the rest of the movie to continue to reveal bits about himself, and he's not who she thought he was. Okay, let's go through the checklist. This is my unofficial Hallmark movie checklist, and you can download your own free copy by clicking the link below. If you've got a copy and you've filled it out, pull it out and we can compare notes. Okay, so first of all, Hallmark likes a snowy setting, and this definitely was a snowy locale. Next, let's see how many of these traditional Christmas activities took place in the movie. Now, the whole point of Jessica's plans for the kids in this movie was that they've been living in Australia and now they're in New England. So she decides that they're going to show them a New England Christmas. So there ought to be a lot of things on this list that got checked off. Picking out a Christmas tree. They didn't pick out one from a tree lot in this one, but they did decorate a tree, and the tree inside was already decorated, so they decorated 2 trees outside. So even when they looked through the windows, they would see these lit up decorated trees. Baking Christmas cookies. Oh yeah, do you remember the kinds of Christmas cookies they were baking? Jessica comes home and Max and Mrs. Brooks are baking with the children, and they're baking shortbread and sugar cookies. And what does she want? Oatmeal raisin. Who makes oatmeal raisin cookies for Christmas? If you do, great. That's kind of a classic all year round staple. I've never heard of that being like a special, let's make oatmeal raisin at Christmas time. Neither had Max. He wasn't buying that one. Christmas shopping, no. Wrapping presents, no. Opening presents, no. I'm sure they did at some point. Playing in the snow, yes. Of course, they had to build snowmen, and then they had a snowball fight. Family dinner, we didn't see a family dinner or putting lights on the house. The lights were already on the house. Enjoying a cozy hot drink, of course. They had a little scene with the hot chocolate, and Max got the hot chocolate. I actually thought that was a little forced. You know, they always have that where the man is trying a little too hard to be cute, but it worked. It was fine. Tom Hanks did it in You've Got Mail too, so, you know. Cooking or baking together, we've got that. Ice skating, no. Making a gingerbread house, no. But that bonus, they did make ornaments. Community events that they went to. Was there carol singing? No, I don't think there was any carol singing or a big town tree lighting, but they did attend a local Christmas market or craft fair that also happened to be a fundraiser, so check 2 of those boxes. The rest we didn't do. No attending church or tour drive. There was a dressy holiday event though. The big party that got moved to take place at their house, right? And then acceptable but not needed. These are things that on the Hallmark publishing website say you can have in a story. We didn't have any of these. Moderate faith elements, time travel, or hint of magic. Not in this one. Okay, let's talk about my favorite secondary characters. First, I gotta talk about the 3 kids. I'm gonna see if I can not butcher their names. We have Isli Hirvonen, who played Emma. She was the oldest daughter. And her sister, Madeline Hirvonen, played Abby, who was the youngest sister. And then Anthony, I'm going to say Bolognese, like the spaghetti, because that's how it's spelled. Anthony Bolognese played Jay Henry, who was the boy. He was the middle child. And they just all did a really good job. We're very natural. The older daughter, she kind of had her shields up. She was pretty protective of her younger siblings. She didn't want to get too connected because she knew they were just going to be going off to boarding school. And I thought she did a good job projecting that without being completely closed off. Jay Henry was charming and sweet, and he had some nice moments with Max. And I loved when he came out before the event with his tie undone, and he's like, trying to figure it out, but has no idea what to do with his tie. And Max, of course, helps him out. And then Madeline, who played Abby, was just cute, and she was kind of the positive one, willing to give things a chance and embrace things wholeheartedly. Zoe is a surgeon who's Jessica's best friend, and she did a great job as the best friend, and she had some charming moments. My favorite with her was probably towards the beginning. They're at a coffee shop, and there's a barista who has been flirting with Zoe, and Zoe likes her, but Zoe is totally nervous, doesn't know how to respond, and so she freezes up in front of the barista, and it was cute the way she did it. Oh, and Zoe was played by Margana. I don't know if it's Wiley or Willie. Charles, the CEO brother, he was played by Steve Bassick, and I didn't like him at first. He kind of had to grow on me, but he grew on me enough that by the end, I want a sequel because I want Charles to fall in love. So, waiting for that one. And then we can see how things go with Max and Jessica and the kids. I enjoyed Mrs. Brooks. She was the housekeeper who has been around in the family forever, knew Max when he was little, so she was supportive and encouraging and kind of took the place of a mother figure for him. And she was played by Brenda Matthews. Let's talk about the clothes in the movie because that's always a fun thing to talk about. Jessica had these amazing coats. She had a red one that she wore for a lot of the movie, and that just always looks good at Christmas time. But then she also had this really lovely light blue coat with a big shawl collar, and it was just so elegant. It looked good on her. Made me want a light blue coat. Sadly, I think her dress at the party was a miss. It was a pretty color. It was a green, and it wasn't your typical Christmas green, so that was kind of refreshing and different. And it had a lovely beaded band around the waistline, and I liked the back. But unfortunately, from the front, it was just not flattering on her. This was the best picture I could get. taken from an interview that she did with Carla Marks, so I just had to take a screenshot of that. But you can see it's just, it doesn't fit her very well just on top. It kind of puckers weirdly, and she's a beautiful actress, and this dress could have used some tailoring. Okay, I only have a couple of nitpicks. One was, I thought the house was fabulous inside, but the outside of the house, maybe it was the same house and that's fine, but a lot of times, you know, the outside of the house is actually different from the house they used to shoot inside. And for as rich as these guys were and as nice as the house was inside, the outside was not the most attractive house. So I think they could have used a better house to establish that shot from the outside. Oh, and I know we have ad placement. You know, I've noticed that in other Hallmark movies. Oftentimes I'm like, oh, look at the car, Jeep. Or I wonder if the Honda CR-V sponsored this one. But the Campbell's soup can just really bothered me. And there weren't even any Campbell's soup commercials before that scene. There was one right after, and that's fine. So it wasn't like I was even primed, but it was so perfectly placed right there by the stove. It was so obviously a product placement that it stood out, and I don't like to be so blatantly sold to in the middle of a movie. I am a fan of tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches though, so I approve of that snack. Noteworthy, I really enjoyed Max's character arc. Carla Marks did a really good job going from the beginning scenes where he's like the snowboarder guy who's going to spend Christmas in Whistler and trying to get his married friend to join in because, you know, why wouldn't he want to be snowboarding with his buddies at Christmas? And being the fun guy to being more responsible at the end and sort of allowing himself to grow up. It probably worked so well for him as a character arc because he didn't so much change as allow his caring, intentional self to show. So he was always somebody who volunteered at the hospital or bought out the toy store so that the toys could be donated at Christmas, but wouldn't let the toy owners say who purchased them. Like, he knows about the company, he follows it, he knows who the clients are, but he's allowed himself to just be who people expect him to be. And through the course of the movie, he starts to reveal who he really is because he realizes that's how he wants to be seen. And then the outdoor trees that they decorated outside, I thought that was a great idea, having the outdoor ornaments that animals could eat. In fact, I might have to try that here because we have a lot of wildlife where I live, and I think it'd be fun to have something to encourage the animals to show up. And all our apple trees are bare now, so we need something else for the deer. Heartstring Meter. This movie, I think I'm still going to be conservative and give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It could almost get 5 out of 5, but we're too early in the Hallmark countdown to Christmas for me to do that. So 4.5 out of 5 stars. But this movie really touched me, surprisingly so. I actually didn't expect to like this movie as much as I did. I don't know why. Maybe I just didn't feel like watching something where they were watching a bunch of kids. I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. And there were, for my Heartstring Meter, some actual physical reactions that I had. The first one was when Max was at the airport. So he's going to be heading off to, was it Thailand? Or Taiwan. I don't remember. But he pulls out his notebook and he starts to make a list of stay or go. And that moment just got me because he's not a list guy, right? That was Jessica's influence, but it also just showed again how intentional he had become. And then right after that, when Jessica realizes that she wants to be with Max and wants to tell him how she feels, she's impulsive and she jumps in her car and she's gonna drive to the airport, and just as she's leaving the house, his car pulls in and he's come home. And he gets out of the car and he says, "Are you being impulsive?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I wrote a list." And it was a sweet moment between them. And then last, at the end, when he kind of stands up to his brother and says, "Yeah, I want to be part of the company, but, you know, these are my parameters." And the brother's like, "Okay." And so then Max is on a roll and he says, "And I don't want these kids going to boarding school." And Charles says, that's why Jessica and I have decided that they're gonna go to Riverside School right down the street, and the kids are there and you can tell they're happy about it. And again, I just had that moment of warmth in my heart from that, because it was all working out just the way a Hallmark movie is supposed to. So all in all, my overall rating for this movie was 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great, surprisingly so, because like I said, I hadn't expected to like this one as much. No reason, but I did. So if you haven't watched it yet, I hope you'll go give this one a try, Christmas with the Darlings. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel and get notified the next time I post a Hallmark movie review. See you next time. Bye-bye.